Deion Sanders may have just pulled off the biggest transfer portal surprise of the offseason. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to an emergency episode, an emergency streaming of Locked On Buffs. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I'm Kevin Borba, host of the show. We're here to talk about Colorado's latest and probably biggest transfer portal addition, at least this year, and probably in the top 5 of the Deion Sanders era, if not the top 3 behind Shedeur and Travis. That's how important of how important of addition Liona Lefau is from Texas. So we're going to talk about Liona Lefau, what he brings to the table, what this means for Colorado and other things going forward. And then we're going to talk about what's next, because Colorado does have a few other targets out there, and I'm going to give you guys the latest on what I've been hearing. But let's dive into Liona Lefau. Started 23, my phone's beeping, 23 consecutive games at Texas, played in 42 of them, and quite frankly, was one of the team leaders. I don't really know Texas's captains that well, but I do know that when he entered the portal, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like this is a shocker. This is a stunner. Like he's probably getting a bag to go play for Ohio State. He's probably getting a bag to go play at Texas Tech or BYU. Like someone thought that someone thought that a huge program was coming in to poach Liona Lefau from Texas, when in fact it was the Colorado Buffaloes putting in the groundwork behind the scenes. So 6'1", 227-pound junior out of Hawaii, 138 total tackles across his career, 5 pass deflections, 3 sacks, a forced fumble. He had a fumble recovery this year that he returned for a touchdown against Texas A&M. And quite frankly, he's a starter right away for Colorado. He's probably the best player on this defense right now. And we haven't even seen how this defense is filled out, but I do think I'm confident in saying like he is probably the best defensive player that the Buffs have brought in. He is a huge addition. He brings heart, he brings soul, he brings passion, he brings a nice wherewithal, understanding of the game, and he just is one of those guys where he paired nicely with, they had Anthony Hill, who's probably a projected first round pick, but Liona Lefau is quite literally one of the better players for Texas. So them losing him was a huge blow for them. But for Colorado, he's a huge, huge addition. I'm going to go look at his recruiting profile because I see some questions about him in terms of who he's connected to. I don't necessarily think he had any connections to Coach Marves that I'm able to connect the dots on, but he had 2 crystal ball projections to BYU. So clearly Colorado came relatively out of left field, I think you could say. No, his primary recruiters from Texas were Jeff Cho and Pete Kwiatkowski. Lewis Powell, Colton Swan recruited him to Utah. Tosh Lapoy, Tony Tuatoli, I believe is how you say it, recruited him to Oregon. Sean Aguano from Arizona State. I'm not seeing any people from Colorado that I'm recognizing, at least. I think Colorado just put in some groundwork, put in some work behind the scenes, and they got him. Like, this is simply a huge, huge effort from Colorado. He is from Hawaii, so maybe that connection helped out there. But Colorado just got a SEC starting linebacker on a defense that was ranked as one of the worst in the country last year, right? They completely revamped this defense heading into next season. So he is let's see what year he was recruited. He was a 2023 recruit, which means was Brendan Marion at Texas at that time. Maybe that's the connection, right? Brendan Marion is the reason that Texas is in the mix for he's the reason they're in the mix for DeAndre Moore. He's the reason they're in the mix for CJ Baxter, who I'll talk about a little bit later. That's showing 2022. So literally, I'll be interested. I'm doing some digging more as this continues to develop. D'Amato Pecco is probably the connection. His sons, there's a Hawaii connection there as well. So there's that. So huge addition for the Buffs. You get a starting caliber linebacker. You get someone who's going to be a leader on this team. I'm going to take a quick 20-second break to tell you guys about Rocket Money. But I'm going to tell you why this was needed, because Colorado, I had concerns. I had concerns about this upcoming season simply because of what we've been seeing their issues were. But let me tell you about Rocket Money. If you're not familiar with Rocket Money, managing your finances can be really overwhelming. Between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes. That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I love how it tracks all my subscriptions and let me cancel things right in the app with just a few taps. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join today at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. If you're new to the show, hit that subscribe button. We're over 8,000 subscribers, which is a really cool accomplishment for me. Want to climb to 9 and 10 and all the numbers above so we can continue to grow the show and continue to have some fun. What does this mean for the Buffs? Well, last year, Colorado lacked 3 things at linebacker. They lacked leadership, right? I don't think any of the players on defense outside of Tafik Byard, obviously not a linebacker, but outside of Tafik Byard, and really this could be on the offense too, they lacked a guy who could gather the team around and be like, hey, we can do this. Or like, hey, this is your assignment. You messed up on this. You could do better. Like Colorado did not have that. They had players who were either never in position, players who couldn't make the play, and then they would go and point fingers and point the blame at other people. So they get someone who has leadership. They get someone who understands schemes, right? Liona Lefau started, 23 consecutive games at Texas, right? You don't start for a team that's been in the playoff 2 out of the past 3 years without having an understanding of scheme and what is being asked, right? He is a technically sound player. He is a leader. And lastly, they get star potential, right? You get someone on that defense where they're a bona fide, already proven player, right? A lot of the players that Colorado's bringing in, which I love, by the way, don't take this as me shooting down what they're doing, but they're bringing in a lot of group of 5 FCS guys, and that's totally fine. I think they should do that because they're getting guys that are hungry, but I do think they needed a couple power 4 proven guys, not the Jaheim Otises of the world where it's like, okay, he hasn't worked out ever, but we're going to figure it out, right? They brought in a guy who could be that star. So not only is he probably going to have a D or an L on his chest for a dog or a leader, but he's a guy that could be a star for them. And I think Tafik Byard came on late last season. I don't think Colorado really had a leader on defense or a star that from the moment the season started, it was like, okay, we need a play. We're looking to insert name here, right? Travis Hunter was that guy for 2 years, right? Travis Hunter shut down an entire side of the field. DJ McKinney was supposed to be that, and he really wasn't. So huge get for the Buffs. He brings leadership. He brings passion. He brings star power, and he brings an understanding of what Colorado will need from him. Because, they quite frankly were just missing. They missed on guys, and it led to their defense's downfall, right? They were one of the worst run defenses in the country, one of the worst tackling defenses in the country. They missed tackle after tackle. And for Robert Livingston, this unit is starting to look a lot. It's probably looking like the best unit he's had. And that's considering the Travis Hunter season as well. Like from top to bottom, this Colorado defense is looking like the best one of the Deion Sanders era. And I think Liona Lefau, based on the leadership, experience, and stuff that he's proven thus far in his career, he is probably the 3rd most important transfer that Deion Sanders has landed behind Shedeur and Travis. Like, this is how big of a transfer this is, at least in my opinion, right? I'm sure some people disagree, but huge addition for the Buffs. We're going to talk about what's next for Colorado, but first we're going to take a quick 5-second break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate all you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, so make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. We're going to be talking about what's next for the Buffs, right? They land Liona Lefau. What does this mean with Rasheem Biles? The Rasheem Biles thing is complicated. He ghosted Florida State last night. They were supposed to pick him up at the airport, and he never showed up. And then all of a sudden, he's taking a visit to Michigan. Now, if Michigan gets him, they did some work, because from my understanding, there was some academic stuff that was preventing him from going to Miami and other schools. And so Michigan is one of the more prestigious academic programs in the Power Four. So we'll see how that works out. But I think Liona Lefau is probably a better player than Rasheem Biles, or has a higher ceiling, in my opinion. I think that Colorado's doing just fine. Now, if there's a world where they could pair both of them, Colorado may have the best linebacker duo in the Big 12. Like, that's sort of where you're at. So Rasheem Biles visiting Michigan. Michigan is the biggest threat to Colorado right now. We'll see if that pans out. CJ Baxter, I've been hearing nothing but Indiana. So I think Colorado, they may have a chance to impress him. They may have a chance to get him on campus, and they may have a chance to bring him in, but it looks like Indiana is the clubhouse leader. They brought in Ezra Christensen for a visit, which he is one of my favorite players in the portal, just simply because he is diverse in terms of what he could do. He plays every position across the defensive line. He could stand up and rush the passer. You could slap him in the 3 technique. You could literally just be like, hey, go play corner. Probably not, but like, that's how versatile he is. He is a guy that I think Colorado greatly needs. And we'll see if that works out. He visited. I'm not saying he's on campus right now, for the confusion. So there's a lot of moves to be made for Colorado still. I do think that they have a very nice class put together. I want to see, let me see where this ranks them, because I feel like they're probably near in that top 10 in the transfer portal rankings, which rankings doesn't always mean everything, right? Colorado had the number 1 class in Coach Prime's first year, and it necessarily didn't work out. They ranked 17th in the portal. So, and that is, they also landed Javen Richardson, the offensive tackle from Missouri, 6'6", 313 veteran, huge, massive person, human being, right? Colorado needs all the massive human beings they could get because obviously you kind of have struggled with the offensive line. London Merritt goes to Clemson. And let's see who else. Let me confirm that I'm not making sure. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. This Liona Lefau thing happened really quickly. I had heard rumblings, but nothing that made me go, this is going to happen. So excited to see it happen. Leona is a senior, I believe. So he's been at Texas. He's listed as a junior right now. So he'll be a senior next year. Andrew Zock is visiting Boston College defensive end. Edwin Collinge, I believe is how you say his name, visited. They're also got a visit from Jordan Norman from Tulane. And then another name to look out for, Randon Fontanet, I believe is how you say it, from Vandy. So it looks like Colorado is not done yet in the portal. Obviously, we knew that. They have to bring in 50 guys. They're at 22. So let's do the math. Let's see how good are we at math right now. 50 guys needed. They brought in 22. For those of you who are mathematicians or not mathematicians, they have 28 guys to go. I expect a lot of this to be focused on more defensive back. Thank you, Carlton. I apologize for my inability to do math. There's a reason I work in sports media. I can't do math. They need more defensive backs, I would say. I like the 2 that they brought in, Cree, and I like the James Madison, Justin Eaglin transfer as well. But I think they were so thin at corner that they need probably 4 more, maybe 3 to 4 more, right? I don't love their safety situation. I really don't. I think Carr Stottmeyer is a productive player, but I don't view him as someone who should be starting and playing every down for the Buffs. I just don't. And I like Ben Finiseth. I love the story. Obviously, I like him. Sorry, I'm just reading a question. Are you counting the players already committed plus the one staying? No. So Colorado, before the portal opened, they were under 50 scholarships or under 50 scholarship players. Then they ended up losing. They've lost over, I think, 30 guys. So they need around 50 plus pieces. So I think they bring in a couple more corners. I think they bring in a couple more offense linemen, because you can never be too safe, right? We don't know Zarian McGill's future. He's getting a waiver. The last I heard, he hadn't heard back. So still waiting on the center. I don't know if we trust Chauncey Gooden based on what we saw from I trust Chauncey Gooden to be a guard. Do I trust him to be snapping the ball? I don't know. You think because they don't come from big school? I don't know who you're talking to, a live tree, but I've been gassing up Colorado's group of 5 tactic the whole time. So that makes no sense. You need a center. Linebacker, I think you need someone to complement Leona Lefau. Rasheem Biles would be nice, but obviously his Michigan sort of adventure could play a big role in this. You do need another quarterback, right? I don't think they're going to go out and get a huge splashy name. Like Isaac Wilson is a nice get at quarterback. So that's the QB2. But I don't know if Ponder is good enough at QB3. They probably will bring in another quarterback for competition, let him duke it out. It's better to have more than not enough. So huge portal get for Colorado today. I expect them to be the biggest name for me to watch out is DeAndre Moore. DeAndre Moore is a guy who could be wide receiver 1 for a lot of teams across the country. That being said, does he want to come to a room that's getting a little bit more crowded, right? If he does come, that means a guy like Joseph Williams, Ernest Campbell, someone else, one of those guys is going to have to fight for a diminished or have to fight to keep their role from being diminished. Because, I mean, Colorado has no shortage of wide receiver this offseason. You have Danny Scudero, you have Cam Perry. I think if you bring in DeAndre Moore, someone's going to be the odd man out. But DeAndre Moore is kind of like the last huge name, I would say. Other than that, like they have to, DeAndre Moore plays out of the slot. He does, but you can move Cam Perry to the outside. He's very comfortable. And then Danny Scudero is versatile as well. I don't know. The hard part with the go-go offense, if you look at how Brendan Marion's offenses operate, like I'll pull up Sac State, for instance, this past year. There's not a lot of touches to be given around for these wide receivers, right? It's cool to have Boo Carter is another good question. Boo Carter, it sounds like it's between Vanderbilt and Colorado, right? That's sort of what I'm gathering right now. Good question. Wide receivers last year at Sac State. So running backs, he had 4 guys, or excuse me, we'll go 4 guys with 35 or more carries. He had 3 running backs with 75 or more carries. Wide receivers, he had 2 receivers with 20 or more catches. Ernest Campbell had 37. The next best guy had 24. And we could go back to UNLV the year before. It's pretty similar, right? There is this sort of notion or excitement for Colorado fans where it's like, hey, we're going to have 17 starting caliber receivers. And it's like, okay, the offense is probably going to get the ball to 3 of them. At UNLV, this was a little bit better. He had 4 wide receivers with 20 or more catches. If you want to take it a step further, there's a running back who had 40, and then another wide receiver who had 18, and then another wide receiver had 16. So I don't really know how all these guys are going to fit. It's not my problem to figure out, right? Brendan Marion is already figuring that out. I'm sure he knows who he could fit into his system. Why do we say we need so many players? The reason Colorado needs so many players, let me pull up the number so that way I could give you a real number. Colorado transfer departures. Let's see. So Colorado has brought in 22 players. They have 34 players outgoing, plus they already had a roster full of seniors. I think Colorado was leading the country, or at least in the top 3-ish for senior/grad students. So they lost a lot of talent, or not, I won't say talent. They lost a lot of bodies just simply due to eligibility issues. Some of these guys are no longer eligible. Some of these guys are done playing college football and done playing football in general. So we'll say they lost, we'll just round up to an even number. They lost 30 guys who are seniors and grad students. We'll just call it that. I don't really know the exact number. And then 34 outgoing transfers. So that's 64 departures. So they really need to build that back up. So that's why they have such a need, and 28 players, as Carlton helped me out with earlier. So any other questions before we go? We're not done recruiting DB. They're not, but that's the important position that I think. I don't think the safeties that they have right now, I'm confident in, unfortunately. So I do like, actually, Nathan Mitchell is a good addition. I like him. He's a really good. I skipped over him when I was glossing through the transfer portal. Nathan Mitchell's good. Leader, captain for New Mexico State, productive player. They're getting beefier in the defensive line. They're getting better pass rushers. Heard anything on a new safety coach? Not yet, but I have heard. I mean, we all saw yesterday. There's, I think, 3 more coaching changes that need to be hired, or 3 coaching changes that need to be made, I guess you could say. So I expect those to, I mean, they're getting interesting, right? The Gainesville head coach was an interesting hire, in my opinion, because he has such a connection to the South. Like the number one linebacker in the country, which obviously it's too late now, but number one linebacker in the country went to his high school, right? He played for Coach Niblett. So Colorado's making big moves this offseason. I appreciate all of you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen, tuning into this emergency episode. Liona Lefau, huge addition for the Buffs. I'll talk more about it right now, or excuse me, tomorrow. Right now, if you guys could do me a favor, if you're new or this is your first time watching the show, hit that subscribe button. Let's get that subscriber count up. I appreciate all you guys and all the support that you give me. Go check out my most recent episode. I had Dylan Manuel, the App State defensive line transfer, on the show. So he got to talk to him, got to learn about his hobbies. He likes to fish, got to learn about the mindset that he brings. But appreciate all you guys for tuning in. And I will see all of you tomorrow as we continue to dive into the transfer portal happenings of the Colorado Buffaloes. I have another interview with another player who we've talked about on the show coming up. So if you guys guess it, I will confirm with a like. So appreciate all of you, and I will see you guys tomorrow.